As we quickly approach November 6th, it is very important that you know exactly what you're voting on. In Wood County, you'll be able to participate in 21 different contests. But before you do your own research, we want to tell you what each position does so you know exactly what you're voting for. So imagine our state government is a restaurant. Every state has a restaurant. But the goal of our restaurant is to make sure it provides for our employees and our patrons. So we got our boss, the governor, who's in charge of implementing rules and programs to make our restaurant better. They can't do everything, but they choose the direction our restaurant is heading. But if we're going to get anything done around the restaurant, we have to make sure it's legal. That's why we have a state's attorney general, who's the main legal advisor to the head of the executive branch, in this case, the governor. Even though the governor is top dog in our restaurant, we have elected officials to represent our restaurant at corporate, the federal government. So, we'll be able to elect a senator from our state and a representative from our district to represent us in Congress. We will also be able to elect a state representative who has a similar job as a congressional representative, but on a state level. There wouldn't be much of a restaurant to operate if there wasn't money, and by extension, people to take care of it. So we are going to be electing a state treasurer, who is our chief banker who chooses how our tax money is invested, and a state auditor who shows how that money is being used by the government so people who do not make those decisions, like us, know where it's going. There will also be a county auditor who has a similar job as the state auditor, but on a county level. Also running for the county is the county commissioner, who does a whole bunch of things on the board of county commissioners like approving budgets, overseeing that spending, hiring county employees, but it's important to note this year the county commissioner is running unopposed. Okay, welcome back to our restaurant analogy. We have to get our soft drinks and our stock from somewhere. So to decide what companies do business with and in our restaurant goes through the Secretary of State, who's also responsible for overseeing the voting process, certifying legal documents, and issuing marriage and minister licenses. So we have our stock to make our sandwiches, but who's going to make them if we don't have employees? And we want our employees to be successful. So they're going to be trained, or in other words, educated. So we're going to be able to elect one representative to the State Board of Education. But this race is a little different because you can elect one representative out of 7 candidates. So you better make sure you're educated about this race. Bad jokes aside, every restaurant has rules, and we have a place to go when those rules potentially get broken: the restaurant's HR department, the court system. We will be able to elect one judge to each of these 3 courts. So the Court of Common Pleas covers criminal cases, civil cases, divorces, wills, and juvenile cases. There are other low-level courts, but this is the one that's on the ballot this year. If any of the verdicts of these low-level courts get appealed, then they go to the Court of Appeals, the next step up in the courts. If there's some sort of error in the Court of Common Pleas, the Court of Appeals, or any of the lower courts in the state, then it's corrected by the Ohio Supreme Court. Alright, so those are all the elected positions on the ballot this year and how they fit into our restaurant of a state government. But there are other issues on the ballot, the first of which is Issue 1. Issue 1 is a potential Ohio state constitutional amendment concerned with how Ohio handles law enforcement and judicial action towards drug-related crimes such as drug possession. This would also affect other criminal offenses, not including murder, rape, and child molestation if the amendment is passed. The specifics of the amendment can be found on the sample ballot accessible through the BGSU Votes website. There are also 2 levies on the ballot, the first of which is to collect necessary funds for adequate mental and addictive services. It would cost 10 cents per every $100 valued of money collected in taxes over 10 years. The other levy is to assist those in Wood County with disabilities, so it would cost 24.5 cents per $100 valued for 5 years. And finally, there will be 4 city charters, the first of which would establish a commission of citizens to review the Bowling Green Charter at least every 10 years. The second would repeal the section where the appointed council member would serve the rest of the term. Instead, the appointed council member would fill the seat until the next possible election. The third establishes the city planner shall be appointed by the mayor and serve indefinitely while outlining the other duties of the city planner. And finally, the fourth establishes a civil service commission, who would recommend candidates to fill vacant civil service positions. And that's everything on the ballot. We hope you use this video as a jumping off point to do your own research, because we understand the information necessary can often feel inaccessible, making it difficult to take part in your communities. That's why we've teamed up with BGSU Votes and the League of Women Voters to help educate, so you can participate. Happy voting.